The laughter started the moment Ada walked into the engineering lecture hall with her worn backpack and second-hand textbooks. "Look, the charity case is here," Zara's voice rang out, loud enough for everyone to hear. "Did your village finally get electricity so you could study, or do you still use kerosene lamps?" The other students snickered. Ada kept her head down, moving toward her usual seat at the back of the hall. After 6 months at Landmark University, she'd learned that responding only made it worse. "Leave her alone, Zara." The voice was sharp, authoritative. Chidi Okonkwo stood from his front row seat, turning to face the class. "Some of us are here to actually learn, not to show off our parents' money." Zara's smile faltered. Chidi was untouchable, son of Chief Okonkwo, one of Nigeria's wealthiest industrialists. When he spoke, people listened. "I was just joking," Zara muttered, but the damage was done. She shot Ada a venomous look that promised future retaliation. Ada slid into her seat, confused and grateful. Chidi's protection wasn't new. He'd been defending her since her first week, but she'd never understood why. They'd never spoken outside of these interventions. He came from a world of wealth and privilege. She came from a small village in Enugu State with nothing but her grandmother's prayers and a scholarship she'd earned through sheer academic excellence. After class, as Ada gathered her books, Chidi approached her table. "You okay?" he asked, and there was genuine concern in his eyes. "I'm fine. Thank you for... You don't have to keep doing that." "Yes, I do." He said it with such conviction that Ada looked up, startled. "I don't know how to explain it, but when I see them treating you that way, it makes me angry, like they're hurting someone who's supposed to be under my protection. I'm not your responsibility." "Maybe not, but you feel like family somehow. Is that weird?" It was weird, completely weird, but Ada just shook her head. Not weird, just unexpected. That afternoon in the cafeteria, the bullying escalated. Ada had brought food from home, jollof rice and plantain her grandmother had packed, because she couldn't afford the cafeteria's inflated prices. She sat alone at a corner table, trying to be invisible. Femi, Zara's boyfriend and son of a prominent politician, walked past with his tray of expensive pasta. He accidentally knocked into Ada's table, sending her food spilling across the surface. "Oops," he said with a smirk. "Maybe if you bought real food instead of village scraps, it wouldn't be so easy to spill." The cafeteria erupted in laughter. Ada felt tears burning behind her eyes, but refused to let them fall. She began cleaning up the mess with napkins, her lunch completely ruined. "What the hell is wrong with you?" Chidi appeared seemingly out of nowhere, getting right in Femi's face. "Apologize. Now. Or what? You'll call your daddy?" Femi tried to sound tough, but there was nervousness in his voice. "I don't need to call anyone. Apologize to her, or I'll make sure everyone knows exactly what kind of coward you are." The cafeteria had gone silent, everyone watching. Femi looked around, realized he was losing the crowd, and muttered a half-hearted sorry. Chidi turned to Ada. "Come on, you're sitting with me." "Chidi, I can't." "Yes, you can. You're sitting with me, and we're getting you real food. My treat." Ada wanted to refuse, to maintain her pride, but she was hungry and tired, and so grateful for his kindness that she just nodded. As they sat together at Chidi's usual table, previously occupied only by the university's elite, he asked her about her family. "It's just me and my grandmother," Ada said quietly. "My mother died when I was 15. I'm sorry. What about your father?" "Never knew him. My mother never talked about him, except to say he was from a wealthy family in Lagos. She went back to her village in Enugu when she was pregnant, raised me alone until..." Ada's voice trailed off. Chidi felt something tighten in his chest. "Your mother must have been an amazing woman to raise someone like you. Her name was Ego. She was everything." Chidi made a mental note of the name, though he wasn't sure why it felt important. That evening, Chidi couldn't stop thinking about Ada. There was something about her that pulled at him, a sense of connection he couldn't explain. He had the same feeling from the moment he first saw her struggling with registration on her first day, an overwhelming conviction that she was important, that she needed to be protected. He mentioned it to his mother over dinner. There's this girl at school, he said carefully. Ada. She's brilliant, top of our engineering class, but she's on scholarship and some of the students are cruel to her about being poor. His mother, Nkiru Okonkwo, set down her fork. And you've been defending her? Yes. I can't help it. When I see her, I feel... He struggled for words. Like she's supposed to be part of our family. I know that sounds crazy. Chief Okonkwo, who'd been quiet until now, looked up sharply. What's her full name? Ada. I don't know her surname. She keeps to herself. But she said her mother's name was Ego, from Enugu State. Chief Okonkwo went very still. His wife noticed immediately. Darling, are you all right? Fine, he said, but his mind was racing. Ego from Enugu. It couldn't be the same woman. That was 20 years ago. But the timing would be right. He shook his head. Coincidence. It had to be coincidence. But Chief Okonkwo didn't sleep well that night. Haunted by memories of a young woman he'd loved and lost 2 decades ago, and a child he'd never known. The university's annual Excellence Award ceremony was a highlight of the academic year, recognizing the top students in each department. Ada had known for weeks that she'd won the engineering department's highest honor, a 500,000 Nigerian naira scholarship, and the prestigious Best Engineering Student Award. What she hadn't anticipated was that Zara had expected to win. 3 days before the ceremony, Ada's only good outfit, a simple but neat dress she'd saved for months to buy, disappeared from her locker. She searched everywhere, panic rising. The ceremony required formal dress, and this was all she had. The dress reappeared the day of the ceremony, hanging on her dorm room door, but it had been destroyed, bleached in patches, torn at the seams, unwearable. Ada stared at the ruined fabric and wanted to cry. She had nothing else. The ceremony was in 3 hours. A note was pinned to the dress. Scholarship trash doesn't deserve awards. Someone who actually belongs here. Ada made a decision. She'd wear what she had, her everyday jeans and a clean but worn blouse. She'd earned this award through her intelligence and hard work. She wouldn't let Zara's cruelty take that from her. Walking into the ceremony hall in casual clothes, while everyone else wore elegant traditional attire or designer outfits, was one of the hardest things Ada had ever done. The whispers started immediately. Did she forget to dress up? How embarrassing. Typical village girl, no sense of occasion. Zara sat in the front row, wearing an elaborate gold gown, smiling triumphantly. When Ada's name was called for the award, she walked the stage with her head high, refusing to show shame. The university vice-chancellor presented her with a plaque in check, praising her exceptional academic performance and dedication. As she stood on stage for the photo, she saw Chitty in the audience. He was standing, applauding loudly, his face showing both pride and fury. He clearly figured out what happened. After the ceremony, as guests mingled over refreshments, Chitty found Zara. "You did this," he said, his voice low and dangerous. "You destroyed her dress." "I don't know what you're talking about." "Yes, you do. You're so insecure that you have to destroy someone whose only crime is being smarter than you while having less money. You know what that makes you? Pathetic. Truly pathetic." He said it loud enough that people turned to listen. Zara's face flushed red with embarrassment and anger. "She doesn't belong here." Zara hissed. "She's a charity case playing in a world she'll never be part of. She belongs here more than you ever will. She earned her place. You bought yours." Chitty turned away from her in disgust. He found Ada outside, sitting alone on a bench, still in her casual clothes, holding her award. "Come with me," he said gently. "Where?" "Home. To meet my parents. I want them to meet someone very important to me." Ada tried protest, but Chitty was insistent. An hour later, she found herself in the Okonkwo family mansion in Ikoyi, sitting in a living room that was bigger than her grandmother's entire house. Chief and Mrs. Okonkwo entered, curious about the girl their son had been so protective of. The moment Chief Okonkwo saw Ada, something in his chest tightened. She had familiar eyes. The shape of her face reminded him of... But no, he was seeing things. "Father, Mother, this is Ada," Chitty said. "The girl I've been telling you about. She just won the Best Engineering Student Award at the university. Congratulations, my dear, Mrs. Nkiru said warmly. That's quite an achievement. Thank you, Ma. Ada was overwhelmed by the kindness in Mrs. Okonkwo's eyes. Over dinner, Chitty explained what had happened with the dress. Mrs. Nkiru was horrified. That's cruel, absolutely cruel. She looked at Ada with sympathy. Where is your family, dear? Do they know about this bullying? It's just my grandmother in the village, Ma. I don't want to worry her. Your parents? My mother died when I was 15. I never knew my father. I'm so sorry. Mrs. Nkiru reached across to squeeze Ada's hand. What was your mother's name? Ego. Ego from Enugu State. The glass in Chief Okonkwo's hand shattered. Everyone jumped. Chief stared at his bleeding hand as if he didn't feel it. Darling. Mrs. Nkiru rushed to him with a napkin. I'm fine. Sorry. It slipped, but his eyes were locked on Ada. When did you say your mother died? 4 years ago, sir. I was 15. And she raised you alone in Enugu? Yes, sir. She never talked about my father, except to say he was from Lagos, from a wealthy family. She said circumstances kept them apart. Chief Okonkwo felt the room spinning. 20 years ago, he'd been in a relationship with a young woman named Ego from Enugu. She'd gotten pregnant. Before he could sort things out with his family, she'd vanished. He'd searched for months, but she'd gone back to her village without leaving contact information. Eventually, his family had pushed through his arranged marriage to Nkiru. He'd thought about Ego over the years, wondered about the child, but he'd never found them. Could it be possible? Father, are you all right? Chitty asked, concerned. Yes, Ada, how old are you? 19, sir. The timeline matched perfectly. That night, after Ada had left, Chief Okonkwo told his wife everything. About Ego, about the pregnancy, about the child he'd never known. You think Ada could be? Mrs. Nkiru asked. I don't know, but the name, the timing, the place. Nkiru, what if she's my daughter? Mrs. Nkiru was quiet for a long moment. Then we should find out. And if she is, we welcome her. She's innocent in all of this. You would accept her? Even though she's a reminder of your past? Yes, because she's clearly a remarkable young woman. And maybe... Mrs. Nkiru's eyes were tender. Maybe she's a daughter I always prayed for. 2 days later, Chitty made his proposal to his parents. I want to help Ada. Fully sponsor her education. Let her move into our guest house so she doesn't have to commute from a village. I know it sounds strange, but father, mother, she feels like family to me. I can't explain it better than that. Chief Okonkwo and Mrs. Nkiru exchanged a look. We agree, Chief said, on one condition. We don't treat this as charity. We treat Ada like family, because she might actually be family. He explained his suspicions to Chitty, who was stunned. You think she's my sister? My actual sister? I don't know, but whether she is or not, my son's instincts about people have never been wrong. If you say she's family, then she's family. When they offered Ada the arrangement, full sponsorship, a place to stay, treatment as family, she cried. I don't understand why you're being so kind to me, she sobbed. Chief Okonkwo took her hand gently. Because you deserve kindness, Ada. And because I think there might be more connecting us than any of us realize. But we'll talk about that later. For now, just accept that you're safe here. You're home. Ada moved into the Okonkwo guest house the following week. The university exploded with gossip. Zara was livid. Femi was confused. And Ada, for the first time in her life, felt like she belonged somewhere. She just didn't know yet how much she truly belonged. Wait, the poor scholarship girl is now living with the WELTHISD family at the university. And Chitty says she feels like family. If you're wondering where this is going, smash that like button. Subscribe to Africantales by Zion because the next chapter reveals a secret that will change everything. Comment below. Do you think Ada could be Chitty's sister? What would you do if you were the bullies right now? Hit that notification bell. The truth is about to come out. 6 months passed in a blur of transformation and happiness Ada had never imagined possible. Living with the Okonkwo family wasn't charity. It was belonging. Mrs. Nkiru had taken Ada under her wing like the daughter she'd always wanted, teaching her about business, social etiquette, and giving her the motherly affection she'd missed since Ego's death. Chief Okonkwo watched Ada with growing certainty. She had his mother's smile, his habit of tapping her pen when deep in thought, his stubborn determination. But he said nothing, waiting for the right moment to confirm what his heart already knew. Chitty was ecstatic. "See? I told you she was supposed to be family," he'd say whenever Ada joined him for dinner, fitting seamlessly into their family dynamic. At university, the dynamic had shifted dramatically. The bullies were now terrified of Ada, not because she'd changed, but because she was untouchable under the Okonkwo family's protection. Zara tried a different approach, spreading vicious rumors. "She's obviously sleeping with Chitty," Zara told anyone who'd listen. That's how she got in with the family. Playing innocent while manipulating the son of a billionaire. The rumor reached Chitty during a student council meeting. He stood up, his face dark with fury. "Let me make this absolutely clear," he announced to the packed room. "Ada is like my sister. Not my girlfriend, not some gold digger, not whatever disgusting narrative you're trying to create. She's family. And if anyone repeats that lie, my family's lawyers will sue you for defamation, so fast your head will spin. Are we clear?" The room fell silent. Message received. Later, Chitty found Ada in the library, visibly upset. "You heard," he said, sitting beside her. "Everyone's talking about it. Maybe I should move out, go back to the village." "Don't you dare. Ada, listen to me. I meant what I said. You feel like my sister. I don't know why, I can't explain it, but that's the truth, and I'm not going to let anyone drive you away." Ada looked at him with tears in her eyes. "Why are you so kind to me?" "Because you're family. Even before we knew for sure you were family." "What do you mean, knew for sure?" Chitty hesitated. "Father has suspicions about who you might be to us, but he's waiting to be certain before saying anything." The university's annual medical outreach program came 2 weeks later. As student council president, Chitty organized a blood donation drive and health screening for students. Everyone should participate, he announced at assembly. "It's for a good cause, and you get free health screening." Ada and Chitty both volunteered to donate blood, leading by example. During the screening, the medical student processing Ada's sample noted her blood type, AB positive. That's rare. At the next station, Chitty's blood was processed, AB positive. The same medical student, a sharp-eyed young woman named Blessing, noticed the coincidence. "Hey, you two have the same rare blood type. That's interesting. Are you related?" They both laughed it off. "No, just coincidence." But the medical student made a note in her file. Both AB+. Check genetic markers. 2 weeks later, tragedy struck without warning. Chief Okonkwo collapsed during a board meeting, rushed to Lagos University teaching hospital by ambulance. Ada was in class when Chitty called. His voice panicked. "It's father. Kidney failure complication. They need AB positive blood urgently, and I can't donate. I have an infection." "Ada, you're AB positive too. Please, can you come?" "I'm coming right now." Ada arrived at the hospital within 30 minutes. She found Chitty and Mrs. Nkiru in the waiting room, both looking terrified. "Is he okay?" Ada asked. "They're stabilizing him, but he needs blood. The hospital supply of AB positive is critically low." Mrs. Nkiru took Ada's hands. "Bless you for coming." "He's family," Ada said simply. "Of course I came." Dr. Adeyemi, Chief Okonkwo's personal physician, came out to meet them. "We can take the blood donation now. Miss Ada, if you'll come with me." The donation process was quick and professional. As they took Ada's blood, Dr. Adeyemi made standard notes in the chart. "We'll run compatibility tests," he said. Standard procedure. What Dr. Adeyemi didn't tell them was that hospital protocol for emergency family donations also included genetic marker screening, a safety precaution to catch any potential hereditary conditions. 3 hours later, as Chief Okonkwo stabilized with Ada's blood flowing through his veins, Dr. Adeyemi sat in his office staring at test results that made no sense. The genetic markers were impossible. He ran the test again. Same results. Then a third time, his hand shaking. The compatibility was perfect. But not just blood compatible. The genetic markers indicated familial relationship, parent-child relationship. Dr. Adeyemi had known Chief Okonkwo for 20 years. He knew about his chronic kidney disease, carefully managed. He knew about Mrs. Nkiru's multiple miscarriages before finally having Chidi. He knew the family history. This girl, the scholarship student his patients had taken in, shared genetic markers that could only mean one thing. He called him into his office. Mrs. Nkiru, Chidi, and once Chief was conscious and stable, brought him in too. I need to discuss something unusual that appeared in our routine screening, Dr. Adeyemi said carefully. Is something wrong with father's condition? Chidi asked. No, he's stable. This is about the blood donation. When we run compatibility tests, we also screen for genetic markers. It's standard procedure to catch any hereditary conditions. And Mrs. Nkiru prompted. And Ada's blood showed genetic markers that suggest, I need to be very delicate here. The markers suggest a familial relationship. To Chief Okonkwo, a parent-child relationship. The silence in the room was deafening. Chief Okonkwo sat up straighter, his face pale. You're saying what I think you're saying? I'm saying we should run a full DNA test. Because if these preliminary markers are accurate, Ada isn't just compatible with you by blood type. She's compatible because she's your biological daughter. Mrs. Nkiru gasped. Chidi stared. Chief Okonkwo closed his eyes. Do it, Chief said quietly. Run the DNA test. All of us, me, Ada, and Chidi, we need to know the truth. Ada was brought in, confused and frightened by the family meeting. What's wrong? Did something happen with the donation? Dr. Adeyemi explained gently. We found something in your blood work that requires further testing. It's not bad news, Ada. It might be very good news. We'd like to run a DNA test. Why? Chief Okonkwo spoke up. Because I knew a woman 20 years ago named Ego from Enugu State. We were together. She got pregnant. She disappeared before I could find her. Went back to her village. I searched for years but never found her. His voice cracked. Ada, I think you might be my daughter. Ada's world tilted sideways. My mother, she told my grandmother about a man from Lagos, from a wealthy family. She said she loved him but couldn't reach him after she left. She never told me his name. What was your mother's family name? Chief asked. Nwankwo. Ego Nwankwo. Chief Okonkwo let out a sob. That's her. That's the woman I loved. Ada, if the DNA test confirms it, you're my firstborn child. Chidi's sister. Chidi was crying and laughing. I knew it. I told everyone she felt like family. She is family. The DNA test was processed on an expedited basis given Chief's medical condition. They had to wait 72 hours for results. Those 3 days were the longest of Ada's life. What if it was true? What if Chief Okonkwo was her father? What if Chidi was actually her brother? And what would Mrs. Nkiru think? On the third day, Dr. Adeyemi called him back to his office. The results are conclusive, he said, handing over the official documents. Chief Okonkwo, Ada is your biological daughter. 99.9% certainty. Chidi, she's your paternal half-sister. Ada burst into tears. Chief Okonkwo pulled her into his arms for the first time. This daughter he'd searched for without knowing she was right in front of him. I'm so sorry, he wept. I looked for you and your mother. I'm so sorry I wasn't there. She never blamed you. Ada sobbed. Mama said you were a good man from a different world. She said circumstances kept you apart. She loved you until she died. Mrs. Nkiru approached slowly. Ada tensed, unsure how her stepmother would react. But Nkiru pulled Ada into a warm embrace. Welcome home, daughter. You saved your father's life with your blood. You brought joy to my son. You're not a mistake or a problem. You're a blessing I didn't know I was waiting for. Chidi hugged them both. My sister, my actual sister. I knew it. No way. The DNA test confirmed she's actually his daughter. Chitty's real sister. If your mind is blown right now, smash that like button. Subscribe to Africantales by Zion because the next chapter shows what happens when the bullies find out who she really is. Comment. Did you see this coming? How would you react if you were Ada? Hit that notification bell. The revenge is about to be sweet. The Okonkwo family held a private ceremony 3 weeks after the DNA results, making Ada's status official. Chief Okonkwo's lawyers filed the paperwork to legally recognize Ada as his firstborn child and legitimate heir. In a simple but emotional family meeting, Chief Okonkwo presented Ada with a new identity card. Your legal name is now Ada Ego Okonkwo, he said, tears in his eyes. Name for your mother, who gave you life, and for our family, which will protect and cherish you for the rest of yours. Ada stared at the document through tears. Ada Okonkwo, she had a father, a brother, a mother figure in Mrs. Nkiru. She belonged. Mrs. Nkiru handed her a small box. Inside was a gold necklace with a pendant, the Okonkwo family crest. I had this made for you, Nkiru said softly. I could be angry about your father's past, but you're innocent, Ada. More than that, you're the answer to prayers I didn't know how to say. I always wanted a daughter, and here you are. I don't deserve this kindness, Ada whispered. You deserve everything, Chief Okonkwo said firmly. You survive without me, excel without privilege, remain kind despite cruelty. You made the Okonkwo name more honorable by joining it, not the other way around. He pulled out another document, his updated will. You and Chitty are co-heirs to everything I built. Equal shares, equal respect, equal love. Chitty hugged his sister. Finally, it felt wrong being an only child when you were out there. Now everything makes sense. Chief Okonkwo addressed them both seriously. We'll make a public announcement next week at the university. Ada, I want you to be prepared. When people find out who you are, everything will change. It already has, Ada said quietly, touching her new necklace. I have a family now. The announcement came at the university's Foundation Day celebration. Chief Okonkwo, as a major donor and board member, was invited to give the keynote speech. Nobody knew he'd be bringing his daughter. The auditorium was packed. Students, faculty, parents, donors. Zara sat in the third row with Femi, both dressed impeccably, assuming this would be another boring, wealthy donor speech. Chief Okonkwo took the podium with Ada and Chitty flanking him. Good morning. Today I'm here not just as a board member, but as a father. 20 years ago, I made mistakes. I lost someone precious because of circumstances, pride, and bad timing. I searched for her for years, never knowing what happened to her or our child. The room grew very quiet. That child, my daughter, survived without me. She was raised by her remarkable mother in a village in Enugu State. She excelled in school despite poverty. She earned a scholarship to this university through pure merit, and she has been here among you for over a year, facing cruelty from some, kindness from others, never knowing that her father was searching for her. He gestured to Ada, who stepped forward. Several students gasped, recognizing her. This is Ada Ego Okonkwo, my firstborn daughter, Chitty's sister, recently confirmed through DNA testing after she donated blood to save my life. Chief's voice strengthened. Some of you know her as the scholarship girl. Some of you have mocked her poverty, her village background, her second-hand clothes. Some of you made her life here a living hell. Zara had gone absolutely white. Femi looked like he might throw up. My daughter maintained her dignity, her kindness, and her academic excellence despite your cruelty. She is top of the engineering class not because of family connections. She didn't know she had any, but because she is brilliant. She is compassionate not because it benefits her, but because that's who she is. Chief looked directly at Zara. To those who bullied her, shame on you. Your cruelty revealed your character, not hers. And now you'll have to live with knowing you tormented the daughter of a man whose favor you all desperately seek. The auditorium was silent enough to hear a pin drop. I'm announcing today the establishment of the Ego Okonkwo Scholarship Fund, named for Ada's late mother. 50 million naira annually will provide full scholarships to brilliant students from humble backgrounds, because merit matters more than money. Character matters more than class. And my daughter proved that. The applause was thunderous. Ada stood beside her father, overwhelmed, as the reality of her new position sank in. After the ceremony, students who'd ignored her for months suddenly wanted to be her friend. She watched them approach with disgust clear on her face. Ada, I always thought you were cool. One girl gushed, the same girl who'd laugh when Zara mocked her clothes. No, you didn't, Ada said coldly. You laughed when they bullied me. Don't rewrite history now that you know who my father is. Zara approached, surprisingly, with none of her usual entourage. She looked genuinely shaken. Ada, I'm so sorry. I didn't know. You didn't know I was rich, Ada interrupted, her voice like ice. So you felt entitled to abuse me. That tells me everything about your character. Zara, the problem isn't that you didn't know my status. The problem is that you think status determines whether someone deserves basic human respect. I was wrong. I was jealous of your intelligence, your strength. You were cruel, and I don't accept your apology. Not because I'm vindictive, but because you're only sorry because I turned out to be powerful. If I was still just a scholarship girl, you wouldn't care that you hurt me. Zara had tears in her eyes. You're right. I'm sorry anyway, even if you can't forgive me. You deserve better. Ada walked away, unwilling to absolve Zara's guilt just because it would be easier. Chitty found her later, alone in the library. How are you handling all this? I don't know, Ada admitted. This morning I was the poor scholarship girl. Tonight I'm Ada Okonkwo, heir to fortune. But I'm still the same person. Exactly. That's what Father was trying to say. You were always worthy. The money and name just made it visible to people too shallow to see it before. Femi approached them hesitantly. Unlike Zara's defensive apology, he looked genuinely ashamed. Ada, Chitty, I don't expect forgiveness. But I need to say this. Watching you these past months taught me something. You had grace and dignity when you had nothing. I had everything and behaved like trash. My father's going to lose his political position in the next election because of corruption. Turns out money and power aren't inherited forever. Character is what lasts. He met Ada's eyes. I'm sorry. Truly sorry. Not because you're powerful now, but because I finally understand that what I did was wrong, regardless of who you were. Ada studied him, seeing genuine remorse. I believe you actually mean that. That's growth, Femi. I accept your apology. Even though I don't deserve it, none of us deserve grace. That's what makes it grace. She extended her hand. Fresh start. Femi shook it gratefully. Thank you. The semester continued with Ada now a celebrated figure instead of a mocked one. But she remained unchanged. Same dedication to studies, same kindness to struggling students, same humility. When asked why she still helped tutor students who'd once mocked her, she said simply, because they need help. I'm not going to become cruel just because I have power now. Her scholarship fund's first recipients were announced. 10 brilliant students from poor backgrounds across Nigeria. At the ceremony, Ada addressed them. My mother raised me to believe that education was the only inheritance that couldn't be stolen. She was right. My intelligence, my character, my worth, none of that changed when I found out who my father was. I was always valuable, just like all of you are valuable. Don't let anyone make you feel less than because you have less than. Your worth isn't in your bank account. The recipients, students who reminded her of herself just months ago, looked at her with hope and inspiration. The bullies watched from the back of the room, finally understanding what they'd tried to destroy. And Ada Okonkwo, who'd been both the poor scholarship girl and the wealthy heiress and learned she was the same person either way, smiled at her family, her father, her brother, her stepmother who'd chosen love over resentment, and knew she was finally, truly home. 1 year later, Ada stood in the exact same lecture hall where Zara had first mocked her, but everything had changed. She was graduating top of her engineering class with the highest GPA in landmark university's history. Acceptance letters to MIT, Stanford, and Cambridge sat on her desk at home, all offering full scholarships, earned on merit, not family connections. Ladies and gentlemen, graduating summa cum laude with a perfect 5.0 GPA Ada Ego Okonkwo. The applause was thunderous. Chief Okonkwo, Mrs. Nkiru, and Chitty stood in the front row, beaming with pride. Her grandmother, brought from Enugu for the occasion, wore traditional attire and wept happy tears. As Ada crossed the stage to receive her degree, she thought about the journey, from the poor scholarship girl eating packed lunch alone to the celebrated Okonkwo heir. But the academic achievement, that had never changed. She'd been brilliant as a poor student and was brilliant now as a wealthy one. After the ceremony, at the family celebration, Chief Okonkwo made an announcement. Ada has been accepted to MIT for her master's degree in engineering. On full merit scholarship, Ada added quickly, "I wanted to earn it myself." Chief smiled proudly. She refused to let me make a donation or use any influence. Earned it completely on her own abilities. Mrs. Nkiru hugged her. "I'm so proud of you. Your mother would be so proud." That evening, before the big celebration dinner, Ada asked her father to drive her somewhere. They arrived at a cemetery in Enugu State as the sun was setting. Ada led him to a simple grave with a modest headstone, Ego Nwankwo, beloved mother, 1975 to 2015. Chief Okonkwo, seeing it for the first time, fell to his knees. "Ego," he whispered, "I'm so sorry. I looked for you. I tried so hard to find you." "She knew," Ada said softly. "My grandmother told me. Mama said you were a good man trapped by circumstances. She never blamed you. She was grateful for the time you had together, because it gave her me." Chief placed flowers on the grave. "I promise you, Ego, I'll take care of our daughter. She's everything you dreamed she could be. Brilliant, kind, strong. She's the best of both of us." Ada knelt beside him. "Mama, I found him. I found my father and my brother and a family that loves me. You raised me to be strong enough to survive without them, but you also gave me a heart open enough to accept them when they found me." She touched the headstone. "I hope I made you proud." The wind rustled through the trees, and both father and daughter felt a sense of peace, of closure, of a story finally complete. At the celebration dinner that night, hosted at the Okonkwo Mansion, the first 10 recipients of the Ego Okonkwo Scholarship Fund were special guests. Ada spoke to them about her journey, about facing bullying and poverty and doubt, about maintaining dignity when others try to strip it away. "This scholarship isn't charity," she told them. "It's an investment in excellence. You earned this through your intelligence and hard work. Let anyone who tries to make you feel less than remember, worth isn't measured in naira. It's measured in character." Among the guests were Femi and his family. His father had indeed lost his political position due to corruption, and their family's wealth had diminished significantly. Femi had transferred to a public university, working part-time to help with costs. He approached Ada with genuine humility. "I wanted to thank you again for accepting my apology and for teaching me that lesson before I became like my father, too proud to learn, too entitled to see my own faults." "How are you doing?" Ada asked with genuine concern. "Honestly, better than when I had everything. I'm learning what really matters. My girlfriend left when the money went away. My fake friends disappeared. But I'm discovering who I actually am without the wealth and status. It's humbling and necessary. Growth usually is." Ada said kindly. Zara wasn't at the celebration. She withdrawn from the university after the scandal, unable to face the social consequences of her cruelty being exposed. Ada had heard she'd moved to London, trying to start fresh where nobody knew her history. Part of Ada hoped Zara learned and grew. Part of her didn't care. "You're allowed to not forgive everyone," Mrs. Nkira had told her. "Some people need to face consequences. Your grace toward those who truly changed is enough." As the evening wound down, Chitty pulled his sister aside. "MIT, huh? That's far. I'll visit during breaks. And you're coming to visit me, right?" "Obviously. Someone has to make sure American guys know you have a protective older brother." Ada laughed. "Younger brother. I'm the firstborn, remember? By technicality only." But Chitty was grinning. "Seriously, though, I'm proud of you. Not because of the perfect GPA or the MIT acceptance. Because you stayed true to yourself through everything. The poverty, the bullying, the sudden wealth, all of it. You never changed who you were. I had a good example, Ada said, squeezing his hand. A brother who protected me before he knew why, who saw my worth when others saw nothing. You believed in me when I was nobody. You were never nobody, Chitty said firmly. You were always my sister. My heart knew it before DNA confirmed it. 3 weeks later, Ada stood at Murtala Muhammad International Airport, preparing to board her flight to Boston. Her family surrounded her. Chief Okonkwo, Mrs. Nkiru, Chitty, and her grandmother, who'd blessed her in Igbo and pressed Naira notes into her hand despite knowing Ada now had access to millions. For emergencies and any, her grandmother insisted, always keep your own money. Ada hugged her tight. I love you, Grandma. Thank you for raising me, for believing in me, for teaching me that education was the inheritance that mattered. She turned to Mrs. Nkiru. Thank you for choosing grace, for accepting me not as a threat, but as a daughter. You're my daughter in every way that matters, Nkiru said, tears streaming. Go conquer America the way you conquered Lagos. She hugged Chitty. Take care of them while I'm gone. Take care of yourself. Call me if any American guy bothers you. I'll fly over and handle it. She laughed through tears. Finally, she turned to Chief Okonkwo, her father, the man who'd searched for her without knowing she existed, who'd felt the pull of blood before science confirmed it. Father, No, he stopped her. Let me? Ada, I missed the first 19 years of your life. I wasn't there for your first steps, your first day of school, the struggles you faced. But I promise you, I'll be there for everything from now on. You're my daughter, my pride, the proof that something beautiful can come from painful circumstances. They embraced, and Ada felt complete in a way she never had before. As she walked toward security, she carried 3 things: her worn backpack from her scholarship days, a reminder where she came from, her acceptance letter to MIT, proof of where she was going, and her mother's photograph to remember who made it all possible. Ada Ego Okonkwo, once the bullied scholarship girl, now a celebrated student and beloved daughter, walked toward her future with her head high and her heart full. Behind her, her family watched with pride. Ahead of her, new challenges and opportunities awaited. And within her, the truth she'd learned. Wealth, status, and family name didn't determine worth. Character did. Kindness did. Intelligence did. Perseverance did. She'd been worthy when she had nothing. She was worthy now that she had everything. And that was a lesson the bullies had learned too late, and the truth that would carry Ada Okonkwo through whatever came next. The poor scholarship girl had always been extraordinary. The world just finally knew it. The end. She graduated top of her class and got into MIT. The poor scholarship girl is now an Okonkwo heir helping other poor students. If you're crying happy tears right now, smash that like button. Subscribe to Africantales by Zion for more stories proving that your worth isn't determined by your wealth. Comment, what was the most satisfying moment for you? The bully's regret? The family reunion? The scholarship fund? Share this with someone who needs to know they're valuable regardless of their circumstances. Hit that notification bell for more inspiring African tales.